sister walked in one Sunday afternoon and interrupted my chores with her rather funny questions. "Auntie me, is sex good?" she asked. I smiled and I looked at her. "Yes, my dear, sex is good. As a matter of fact, sex is one of the greatest gifts life has given to us as humans." She was shocked at my answer, and I knew the day has finally come for us to talk about this. I knew she needed help, and I was ready to render that. I knew our friends were on her neck to let go of her strict morals and religious belief about sex. She was on a crossroad, a place where she had to make a decision about her life, an important decision. "Yes, sex is good, my dear," I repeated, and I asked her to sit beside me. "Sex is good. Are you sure?" she said. "Yes, I am very sure. As a matter of fact, sex is created by God as gifts to man. It serves as pleasure and enjoyment to man also. Sex has lots of benefits: health, physical, spiritual benefits. It is the deepest level of intimacy between two people. So you can see, my dear, sex is good. Sex brings about procreation, which is God's original intent." "Yes, sex is good," she said. And I could still remember the smile and the excitement on her face as she stood up, going to her friends. Immediately, I called her back. "Babe, you didn't even ask me the question you were supposed to ask me." She looked at me. "What question?" she said. And I said, "You didn't even ask me if it was right or wrong, if it was good or bad." She looked at me with confusion written all over her face. "But B6, anything good is right now," she said. "No, not all," I replied. "Sex is good, we all know that, yes. But then the timing is important. The timing determines whether it's good or wrong, whether it's right or the wrong timing. That timing is called marriage. This means sex done outside marriage is outrightly wrong and it's a sin, but sex done within the walls of marriage is so right and honorable with one spouse." My dear, don't ever prioritize the goodness of sex over its rightness. Yes, sex is good. God created sex for two married couples, not dating lovers. God created sex for two matured couples who understand the spiritual implication of sexual intimacy, not young folks who are merely trying out new skills to satisfy their sexual desires. My younger sister is 22 years old now, a beautiful woman who understands her priorities. And I am glad that I had that 30 minutes of what seems like a lecture to her. And I told her to model this message across to all her friends, telling them the goodness and rightness of sex. Thank you.
Sex is good. Sex is enjoyable. Sex sometimes relieves us of our daily stress, and sometimes it could be exhausting, but at the end of it all, we feel so good and refreshed. But do you know sometimes the sex could be bad? Yes, it could be bad. Today, I'll be telling us two scenarios in which sex could be bad. First, I'll be telling us doing it with the wrong person, and second, I'll be telling us doing it at the wrong time. Talking about doing it with the wrong person. As a married person, you're not supposed to be having sex with someone who is not your spouse. So having sex with someone who is not your wife or your husband means you're doing it with the wrong person. But in our world of today, people no longer care. Married men, married women go around having sugar daddies, having sugar babies and sugar whatever they call it. But we all know that is wrong. As a married person, you are not supposed to be going after someone else who is not your spouse. But today, it beats me that that's the norm, and people no longer see it as anything. I've been a victim of having a relationship with, not really a relationship, but being with a married man, and I discovered that they don't even see it as anything, because he even told me that, okay, I'm a man, it's the normal thing for me to do, I can't stand it, my wife is not around, what do you expect me to do? But he knows deep down that he's wrong. So many people like that out there who go about doing this thing they call sex with the wrong person, and they don't see anything bad about it. But we all know that it's bad, so we should just face the truth and stand for the truth, and know that having sex with someone who is not your spouse is wrong. So second, I will be talking about having sex with at the wrong time. So having sex at the wrong time means having sex when you're not married. Sex was made basically for married people by God. God made sex, and He didn't make it for people who are not married. So if you're not married, you're not supposed to be having sex. It could be your boyfriend, it could be your fiance. You are not supposed to be. You're supposed to wait till you are married, legally married. That is when sex is meant for you. But today it's the norm. Nobody cares. I even know of young teenagers, 17, 16, talking about sex like it's a normal thing. But sex before marriage is wrong. So let's face the truth and hit the nail on the head. Sex before marriage is wrong. Sex with another person during marriage is wrong. So that will be all for today. And I hope I've made a right impact on you. So I'm not trying to judge anyone here, but let's just say the right thing and do it. Thank you.
Wow, sex is good. It's a known fact among people that sex is good, provided it is done legitimately and not illicit. Sex could mean gender differences or copulation between a male and a female organism, usually sexual intercourse in a marriage. Basically, in this context, sex is addressed in three ways: premarital sex, extramarital sex, and marital sex. Premarital sex is a sexual intercourse that occurs before marriage. It is illegal and it is called fornication. Research has made it known that premarital sex is by now far more common than it was in the 1920s. Maybe because of curiosity. May God help us. Extramarital sex. Extramarital sex is also an illegitimate type of sex. It involves married one getting involved in sexual affairs outside their marriages, which is wrong. It is called adultery. Both premarital sex and extramarital sex, they are strict destroyer of life and destiny. For example, it can lead to sexual transmitted disease, unwanted pregnancy, abortion, damaged womb, and many more. That's the effect of wrong sex. Now let us discuss marital sex. Marital sex is originated from the word of God, because everything good comes from God. Marital sex is honorable, and it is the only legal type of sex. It involves sexual relationship between the man, who is the husband, and his wife, and marriage is the only license for it. Marital sex is very, very good. There are a lot of benefits derived from it. Research shows that marital sex has a lot of benefits, some of which are for pleasure and reproduction. It encourages companionship. It improves woman bladder control and even easy child delivery. Another interesting fact is that it boosts men's strength and immune system, making them last longer on bed. It also aids mental stability and many more. Finally, I believe that with these my few points, I've been able to establish the fact that sex is good and enjoyable only when done legitimately. Thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm speaking on the topic, is sex good? Well, that's a very, very important question which needs a very, very reasonable answer, because nowadays youths abuse the meaning of sex for pleasure. Well, doctors have stated that sex is healthy for a relationship, but they also stated that it's for married couples only. Please, I repeat, only, because we as youth shouldn't indulge in this practice as young as we are, because we don't really know the aftermath of the situation. Well, I will go on by saying that sex is a very strong bond. It tightens relationship, and yes, it is good when you feel you can take responsibilities of the matters which comes with it, such as pregnancies. That is why it's been advised for only married couples, because as youths and young teenagers or young people still coming up, we have our future, our career, and whatever we want to be to think about. So the last thing now that should be on our mind is sex. Sex can lead you to start up a family which you don't want to. Sex can make you get unwanted pregnancy as young ladies. Sex can give you deadly disease that you can't even ever wake up one morning and desire for. So I would advise you should think of this act when you feel you can handle the repercussion or the consequences which comes with it, because sex is not just something of pleasure, it's a bond, and by the time you indulge into it, you become responsible for whatever you create. What am I saying? What am I trying to say here? Number one, as a lady and as a young girl, if you indulge into sex, sometimes you get unwanted pregnancies and you'll be forced to keep it, which by all means you bring disgrace to your family, your entire hood, and your career or your dreams will be cut short. Oh, I want to be a doctor. Oh, I'm aspiring to be a lawyer. Oh, I want to be this. Oh, I want to be that. By the time you do that, a dot of sperm spoils your career, spoils your dream, spoils you being a doctor, spoils you being a lawyer. And if you think of indulging into abortion or removing the baby, at the means you can end up dying. Number one, it causes death, you destroy your womb, and even God in heaven will blame you for murder. And if guys will feel okay, it doesn't really have much impact on me as a guy, well, it does. Oh, it has an impact on you, because you become a father at a very tender age. Your dreams will no longer be, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a footballer. Your dreams will be like, how am I going to train my child in school? Where will I get money from? Where am I going to start from? You'll be thinking of your dreams, your desires, your destinies to go and make your life better. So our advice that you should please indulge into sex when you feel you can take up the responsibility, you can take up the rights. Yes, sex is good when the time is right and good. Thank you.
Sex is good, but personally, I would say yes and no. Why? Because sex is good when done in marriage as intended by God, but outside marriage, it becomes something that follows one house and hence is sin. Have you ever wondered what exactly sex is? Is the definition of sex the way the Bible defines it, or do you define it the way people in the world defines it? Majority of people even ask what sex is. They say sex is an intercourse between two people, but the Bible says it's actually much more, because it involves the emotional, sexual intimacy between two people whereby they become echad, the word meaning one flesh, and they become bonded to form an entity, body and soul, physical and spiritual. Sex in marriage is beautiful, but sex outside marriage is dehumanizing, as it turns some into object for sexual gratification, some into teenage parents, and some into murderers or killers as they opt in for abortion. This reminds me of a story of a girl who shared a orgy with me while she was 17. She got attracted to a guy who was 27. The guy asked her for sex, she came in and she got pregnant. Parents found out about this, they sent her out of the house. She went to meet the boyfriend. The boyfriend was like, I'm not ready to be a father yet. She went to the friends rejected her too. She lost the family, she lost the friends, she lost the loved one, she lost the pride, the dignity as a woman. She lost this all because of one act, sex. Majority of people today give different reasons for having sex. Some say they have sex because they want to know if they're compatible with their partner. Some have sex because they see sex as a means to build their trust in the relationship. Some have sex because they want to feel loved, connected to a particular person. Some have sex because they see sex as a means of making their relationship last long. Some have sex because that's what is trending in the society, so they actually want to feel more. Some have this illusion that sex equals love. Why? Because the devil has actually used this to poison their mind and made them blind to see the good reasons why God have actually kept sex for. Statistics show that 68 to 70% of youth today engage in sexual immorality, and when the adults are counted, millions turn into billions. And so many people use sex as a means of getting incentives. Some people use sex as a means of solving problems. Some people use sex for different reasons. But when all these are done outside marriage, it becomes the same. But the fact that you're doing something good, you have a good reason for doing something, and good reason for doing something bad does not actually make it good. Some people who have had sex live their life of guilt, that since they've had sex, they feel that's the end of the world. Yes, God says sex outside marriage is bad, but He can actually forgive you if you like to forgive yourself. Marriage is a union between two people, but sex is what binds them together. Sex in marriage is cool. Sex in marriage is wonderful. I want to leave with this message that I want you to have this outlook about sex, that no matter where you are, sex in marriage is beautiful. Sex in marriage is cool. Why not just live with it and avoid yourself all these emotional hurts and problems that sex will actually bring? Yes, God wants us to have a beautiful and healthy sex life. Why not just let Him lead you to the right path? Yes, sex is good. Why not live it till marriage? Because you really enjoy that. You don't get tired of having sex when you get married. So, sex is good.
Sex is probably one thing that few people struggle to find motivation for. It's certainly not exercise, but which we all know that is good for us, but it can be extremely hard to pull off every day. Sex is important for many reasons in a committed relationship. It is ultimately about intimacy, sexual expressions, and pleasures. Sex has many positive physical, intellectual, emotional, and social benefits. Understanding this benefit will help couples out there to recognize that sex in the relationship will not only help themselves, but will help bond their relationship further and create a broad sense of intimacy in their loving relationship, whether it's a long-lasting relationship or a one that just got started. Sex is good for individuals for their emotional health, but can be for overall health of the relationship. It brings couples closer. For folks in a committed relationship, having sex with your partner will help you guys bring yourself closer together. That's why even if you're not in a relationship, we tend to know why we get attached to people we've slept with. So the thing is, sex is good for marriage, it's important for marriage, it's important it's compulsory for every couple out there. You can't just leave this couple out and this person out and you just stay there. Okay, help your partner. If they are having sexual arousal, really give it to them. You don't forcefully give it to them, because a low sex marriage has high probability of separation in 12 months. And we should talk about the health side now. It helps in different stages in health. Forget the throwdown, the fun, forget the evening, morning and afternoon of the fun. It has its own benefits in our health. And concerning our health and sex, it helps us cure cold, low our blood pressure, less stress, sleep better. It helps young people to even look more younger. It helps glow the skin. Having sex also has the probability of burning 4 calories in men every minute and 3 calories in women. Okay.
Why is it that whenever sex is mentioned, people get offended and begin to murmur and make negative statements? Yet these people are the very same personalities living in one sexual sin or the other. Aside from drugs, sex has been abused by our youth today. Guys now brag about how many girls they've slept with. Virgins are not hard to find. Sex has become nothing. Students now live in the same room like husband and wife, all in the name of love. God created us with sexual urge, but God created sex for marriage. Sex is good when done at the proper time, which is in marriage. Sex can only go wrong when done premaritally. I think the reason why Adam and Eve didn't have sex in the garden until they left was because they felt the time wasn't right. Maybe they were courting, dating, getting to know each other's weakness and strengths. A lot of people are dating the person they don't even know, and they slept with each other several times without even thinking of the consequences. If Adam and Eve could have patience before having sex, then why can't we? I see no reason why a girl should be dating a man outside marriage and they've had sex more than 10 or even 20 times. Why is it that we are so impatient? Why is it that we are like this? In the world we live in today, women are always at the receiving end. Everything that happens in this world, we always take the blame. All the consequences, all the blames always fall back on us. Think about the consequences of premarital sex: HIV, STD, unwanted pregnancy, stigmatization, discrimination,
loss of dignity, name it, a lot of things. I don't know why people still indulge into premarital sex. I won't say sex isn't good, but I think it should be done at the right time.
First of all, sex is good because God, our Creator, made our sex organs for reproduction. But sex is also good in so many ways. For example, it boosts your fertility because for men, the more they have sex, the better quality their sperm will be. And also, if a woman has sex frequently, it helps balances her hormones and regulates her period. And it can also boost her chance of conceiving. And you know there's nothing more beautiful than a woman having her own children. So another example why sex is so good is because it helps lower your risk of incontinence. Now, incontinence means the inability to restrain discharge. That means you can't discharge your urine and feces voluntarily. And it's a problem because if you can't control them, they will control you. But good sex is a great workout for a woman's pelvic floor muscle. And it's the same muscle that controls orgasms and also stem flow of urine by reducing leakage and incontinence. So good sex lowers the risk of you discharging involuntarily. Now sex is also good because it manages depression. And like any exercise that raises your heart rate, sex causes your brain to release the feel-good chemicals that boost your level of serotonin. Now, serotonin is the body's key antidepressant chemical and one of the major reasons people smile and feel relaxed after sex. So if you've been wondering why you always feel relaxed and happy after sex, most especially after a long and a hectic day, now you got your answers. So good sex also cuts your risk of prostate cancer. This one concerns men because of their prostate gland. It's a gland surrounding the urethra. So this have to do with their urine and their sperm. That's why men who enjoy sex regularly, even in their 50s, are at lower risk of developing prostate cancer. This is because sex clears the prostate of toxins that could linger or trigger cancerous changes. So these are just some of the reasons why sex is good. Enjoy yourselves, and I hope you learned something new today. God bless you.
If you thought that the only benefit of sex was, well, pleasure, then here is for news from you. It improves heart health. Yes, sex is exercise, just like any other physical activities. Healthy sex is good for your heart. Cardiology found that men who had sex twice weekly or more had less risk of cardiovascular disease like stroke or heart attack than those who had sex once a month or less. 2. Happier mood and stronger relationship. Enjoying a healthy sex life is one of the great joy in life. Knowing that you and your partner are in this together. 3. Sweet pain relief even from menstrual pain. Yes, it makes you have less cramps and all that. Yeah. 3. It decreases stress and lower blood pressure. Yes. Psychology found that sexual activity prevents increase in blood pressure during stressful events. 5 rather. Possible reduction of prostate cancer risk. Urology found that men who ejaculate regularly may reduce their risk of prostate cancer. Better sleep. According to the National Sleep Foundation, organs released during sex makes you feel sleepy and relaxed. Enjoying a healthy sex is one of the great joys in life. Knowing that the intimacy could be a boon for your long-term health and also makes you have a stronger relationship. Thank you.
In our world today, the word sex is seen as bad. When we talk about sex, different thoughts comes on the mind of individuals and goes bumps in the skin of an individual because of what our present generations and the youth of our age has turned sex into. When one speaks of sex, it not sounds as something bad or evil, whereas it's supposed to be something enjoyed by married couples because it brings intimacy and binding between them. We shouldn't forget that without sex, no one would be existing. Even if we end going for artificial insemination, we might still end up not having a child. Let's take for instance, I was opportune to be friends with these married couples. Whenever the man demands sex from the wife, she turns him down completely. This went on for a while, and when he couldn't control his urge any longer, he decided to seek for it elsewhere, which at the end brought problem to the family. No man or woman should deprive each other of sex in as much as you are married. We also know that adolescents of our age are enticed with what they watch on TVs, like pornographies. Some end up practicing them, while some end up becoming gays and lesbians. From the beginning, God designed for sex as being between a man and a woman. So therefore, sex before marriage is a sin. In the Bible, 1 Corinthians 7 verse 2, because of the temptation of sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman should have her own husband. Only then can they enjoy sex without fear of any man whatsoever. Also in the same Bible, in 1 Corinthians 7 verse 8 to 9, to the unmarried and the widows, it is better for them to remain single. But if they can't exercise self-control, only then can they get married, rather than born in passion. My point here is, sex is good only when it involves two matured married couples who can engage in the acts and are always ready for any consequences that comes thereafter. Thank you.